has the Baseball Hall of Fame done enough to honor the Negro Leagues itself and its legacy?
They're doing better. The existing leadership of the Hall of Fame has taken a few steps in that. There's another kind of societal catalyst that helped push them along, and that was the unrest in the 2020 time period around the George Floyd murder and so forth, and the push for social justice reforms and whatnot kind of was, again, something that pushed the Hall of Fame, I think, because the timing is a little coincidental for them to then say, okay, let's revisit how we present the Negro Leagues in our facility and how we cooperate with others who are honoring the Negro Leagues, like the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum here in Kansas City. And they do a little bit more kind of cross-pollinating of artifacts, and they'll share things. Bob Kendrick, who is the leader of the museum here in town, is on their Black Baseball Initiative board. And so they try to coordinate that better. And they've reopened that. I've not been to it since they reopened it, but they reopened their Black Baseball display in the Hall of Fame. It's no longer just confined to the couple little rooms that they had. It's still there, but they've also kind of sprinkled throughout the entire hall additional references to what was happening in Black baseball during those periods of history. If you've been to the Hall of Fame, it's sort of a chronology. When you go up to the second floor, which is like the main history of baseball part of the museum, it's a bit of a chronology. And so they've been better at sprinkling throughout that what was happening in Black baseball. In the prior iteration, you had to make a conscious choice to go find out. Every other part of baseball was sort of this timeline flow through the hall. Even when they wanted to honor women's baseball, it was part of that. When they wanted to honor Latin baseball, that was part of that. But Black baseball was literally in two separate rooms that were not part of the traffic pattern. You had to walk past it, but you didn't have to walk into it. So you had to make the conscious choice to do that. That has changed a bit. Those rooms are still there, but they've weaved more into the hall, to my understanding, and based on the literature that they put out about it. So that's much better. I would like to see Major League Baseball do a little bit more in cooperation with the Hall of Fame as well. The fact that they played a game at Rickwood Field in Birmingham last year was a very good step in that direction. They, of course, have finally recognized the Negro Leagues as major leagues and recognized their stats as part of the Major League Record Book. That's great. I would like to see more cooperation between them. And I'd like to see the Hall of Fame do a little bit better, like I said, in terms of going back and looking at the time period the Negro Leagues existed from, pre-1950 essentially, and doing a better job of leveling out the percentage of representation. They've put in a fair number of Negro Leaguers, which is good, but they're still not in the proportion that they played. There was roughly 1/3 of all major leaguers. Now that these are major leagues, now that they're considered to be major leagues, roughly 1/3 of all major leaguers during those time periods from like 1920 to 1948 were in the Negro Leagues, but they are not 1/3 of the players in the Hall of Fame who played during that time period. They're a little bit less than that. They're more like 1 in 4. It would be nice if they went back and kind of trued that up and cleaned out that backlog of players so that they didn't have to keep waiting and hoping every 3 years that they get onto the final ballot and then hope that they push through. It's very hard, as Dave Parker can tell you. It took him forever, and he was the only person on the Veterans Committee ballot this year who got in. He was sharing that ballot with Vic Harris and John Donaldson, and he was the only one who got in. So, they put in only 1 or so per year from the Veterans/Eras Committee. They're never going to get rid of that backlog if they continue it that way. So that's a big change that I would like to see them make.
Well, the book, folks, is Cooperstown's Back Door, A History of Negro Leaguers in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Paul, where can people pick up a copy of this to learn more about this incredibly interesting topic?
It is for sale on all the usual online booksellers in terms of Amazon and Books A Million and Barnes & Noble and all of those folks. You can get it from McFarland Publishing. They're the ones who put it out. There's an ebook version of it available on Amazon as well. And also, you can always find my other writing on my Substack, which is pauldwhite.substack.com or lostinleftfield.com. They both go to the same site. I publish something on baseball history every weekday. So,
Yeah, you can certainly, Paul. I'm always impressed by the volume that you put out in terms of what you write for Substack. So I would encourage everybody to subscribe and follow. You put out some great content every week. I enjoy reading.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it.
So I'll make sure to include all these links in the show notes. So if you'd like to get a copy of the book, if you'd like to follow Paul either on Lost in Left Field or on Substack, that'll be there for you as well. Paul, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show.
My pleasure, Jeff. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.